Earthlings, Earthlings. It is episode 14 of The Heroes You Deserve. My name's Henry.
I'm Mike.
And I'm Richard.
And this podcast, we're going to discuss the season finale, and I guess the season finale flash, but I guess we're going to probably look back and discuss season 2. But a recap of season 2, and I guess what entails or what's going to hold in the future for season 3. We all watched it, right? We're all caught up.
Yes,
we're all fans of Flash.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
All
yes.
right. So, I guess let's talk about what did you like about the season finale? I mean, spoiler alert, by the way. So go.
Yeah, if you haven't watched the finale,
Sure.
Go back.
Yeah.
Hulu. Go to CW.com. Watch it immediately, and then come back and watch a review because we might drill down a little deeper than you will in the few minutes that it takes you to watch the show.
Right,
Okay.
and don't go back too fast because then you'll create a time remnant.
Yeah, don't do that.
Or a time boom.
Or time boom, or time wraith even. They'll come looking for you. All right, so Mike, what did you like about how season 2 finale? What? Tell us thoughts.
Well, gosh,
There's a lot of thoughts in this.
a lot happened
Sure.
during this season that was certainly merits talking about. But as far as the finale is concerned, we got to see quite a few reveals, some of which I wish I'd been given more time. But the race was awesome. I mean, especially the way it played out, because on surface of it, it sounded stupid. It's like, okay,
Race to the death.
yeah, well, I mean, that was implied, but certainly the whole idea of like, okay, well, this is all going to culminate in a foot race was just, when I saw that that's what the finale was going to revolve around, I thought it was just dumb. I'm like, okay, is this happening because we've had such a good season? Why is this what Zoom wants to do? And of course, there was a larger force at work, and he was actually planning to do something pretty awful, which in itself I think would have created a cooler story down the line if he'd succeeded. But what we're gonna get, I think, is gonna be even better. We got to see a little bit more of Cisco using his newfound powers, seemingly at will now. So it looks like he's really gotten a hold of himself. The team really did come together in this episode as well. Everyone played a part. Joe, Iris, Cisco, and oh God, help me out, Caitlin. Everybody had a part to play.
Jesse Quick, I'm sure too.
Yeah, Jesse Quick as well, along with
Wally.
Yeah, even Wally, and the fact that those two are like, they've laid the groundwork for what's going to happen to them is very exciting as well. I mean, there was, again, if I had to drill it down to one moment, I don't know that I could, but certainly Barry creating the time remnants, which I'm still trying to wrap my head around.
Yeah, trying to explain the physics of that, right?
The physics behind that. I mean,
time travel.
Yeah. It's like that line in the second Austin Powers film where they're telling him just don't think about it.
Yeah.
And I think I'm just not going to think about it because it makes my head hurt.
Well, it's basically Barry running like 5 minutes into the future and creating his 5 minutes in the past Barry and his 5 minutes in the future Barry, and basically one of them sacrifices himself, meaning the older one, or the 5 minutes in the past Barry, where the 5 minutes in the future Barry then survives, and nothing's really happened. He's just essentially created two versions of himself, but the newer version is always the one that
create a paradox in which one of them, if one of them dies, the other
It's the same Barry though. He's just literally jumping minutes ahead, so it's not affecting. Nothing's really happened because he's still in the moment. It's kind of like a mirror image, and they've already done time.
But here's the thing: if I somehow from sitting in this chair move 5 minutes ahead,
or maybe not 5 minutes, maybe it's seconds. I just use that as an example.
Maybe I move 5 seconds ahead, and boom, I appear in front of me.
Right.
5 seconds from now.
Right.
And that me kills me.
Yes.
And I die. Okay, this version of me that's sitting in front of you dies.
Yes.
How do I then...
How does it not affect that?
How does it not affect that? How do I not go back in time or go ahead in time now?
Because you already jumped back to begin with.
But then how did I kill myself?
Because it's like your echo.
I'm dead.
It's like...
How did I jump back in time?
Yeah,
how did I jump ahead in time to... If I'm dead now... See, this makes my head hurt. Okay,
Well, look,
so which is why I'm not going to think about it, because that really does.
No, I'm not saying that it. Look, obviously it's fiction.
Wait,
Don't approach it as it's real. I'm just saying that's the way. That's the way.
The piss. Come
I'm
on.
just saying that's the way it's explained.
Fiction,
That's the way that it's
But there's
explained.
basis in real science.
Yeah, that's the way that it's explained, right?
There's
It's
gotta be
just
basis
it's
in
it's of course.
No,
it
and I
is.
get that that's the premise, that that version of me from the future could survive, while the version of me that sacrifices himself would disappear and just not be there anymore.
It's either the future version is survives or the past version survives. One of them dies. It could be the future version because you haven't lived the future yet. Maybe he creates a time remnant, and because Zoom was doing this, and that's how he was killing himself multiple times, because he was just zooming to just a little bit in the future, creating both of them, seeing essentially both of them. One of them would sacrifice himself, and the other one would keep going. Maybe it's the past version that survives, and the new version doesn't. That makes more sense because the future hasn't happened yet. So could you deal with that?
That kind of is more believable.
I feel a
But
nose,
that's
I feel a nosebleed coming on.
That's essentially how it works. But look, when you're dealing with the Flash and you're dealing with the Speed
Time
Force,
travel.
and you're speeding, Zoom's power came from the Speed Force. Is that what they? No, the Zoom's power came from Velocity 9,
Not at first. No. He got his powers the same way that Barry did.
the particle accelerator.
Particle accelerator. With an accident, he was receiving ECT or some sort of treatment that involved electricity, and speedster. We got a speedster, and he's evil. And
Earth 2 Speedster.
correct. And now he somehow, I guess, was it ever explained that why he had access to?
He was not powerful enough, and he.
Oh, I know, no. But is he a chemist? Is he a scientist? Was that?
Garrick is Jay Garrick is a chemist.
Right. He took over his persona but Jay Garrick only existed in Earth 3.
Right.
Yeah, but so this Zoom, the evil one that we've known all along,
Is not a chemist.
is not a chemist. He's
Right.
just a serial killer.
Correct.
So far as, I mean, that much of his story wasn't made clear to me. So I mean,
Yeah. But it was fun, wasn't it?
I mean, he built this. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. Again, obviously he's got some sort of background because he had knowledge to build some science contraption, and he's a
Knew
killer.
what parts to get.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe he had a guiding hand. Maybe that'll be revealed later.
Well, maybe he speed read through books just to.
I guess, yeah, that's a thing that Barry showed that he could do
But
earlier this
but
season.
Barry is a chemist or a
He's a forensic
forensic,
scientist,
so
so he
he's
has a
got-
background in the hard
correct.
sciences.
Correct. So loophole.
Well, yeah, there's got to be something.
Sure.
Maybe,
Yes,
maybe that we missed. I don't know.
Sure.
Clearly, there's some suspension of disbelief
Yeah,
that
yeah,
you're going to
totally.
afford a show like this, wherein superhuman speed and time travel are occurring.
Right. So a shark walking around with pants, and we have an issue.
Oh, we
with-
didn't say boo to that. We're like, oh, he looked super cool.
Right. That can happen.
Okay, don't bring King Shark into this. He was awesome.
Yeah. That's why I'm just saying we didn't say boo to that. We didn't say boo to a billion other silly powers that they've come up with.
Sure.
Even
Totally.
Cisco's are a little
Vibe.
unexplained,
Sure.
and we're just sort of taking them at okay,
Sure.
I can see the future, never mind the mechanisms in
Right.
which that's taking place.
Right.
They've sort of said, okay, some vibrational stuff is happening, therefore seeing into the future.
Right.
Right.
All right, Rich. What did you think?
I mean, it was okay. I didn't think it was the greatest season finale ever. I thought last year's finale was better than this one. Just the whole introduction of the multiverse and just the breaches and everything like that. I thought Zoom wound up being a bit anticlimactic.
So you didn't think that the reveal at the very end was on the
hold
level
I'm
of
not,
the?
I'm not talking about. I'm just talking about the reveal at the very, very end seemed just like a tag, to the episode. It really didn't feel like anything in the episode other than the fact that he lost his dad. There really wasn't an impetus for, let him just do this. I mean, I guess that he, had just been losing and losing and losing and losing, that he just wanted to decide, because it wasn't really clear why he just decided,
I know.
screw it, I'm going to just go back and save my mom.
What happened to the optimism that he just got from that Kevin Smith episode? That
that's-
he's unbeatable.
Well, no. They did a very good job because he became too complacent. He became too overconfident because of that. That was a great episode.
Right.
And, just the fact that the Speed Force was like on his side and it was in his corner, he
Right.
felt he could do whatever. And then he realized that it was not true.
Get a big horrible dose of reality. Yeah.
Right. And I totally, and maybe that's why he felt the need to just go back and change things. And it was a little clunky. I'm not going to say it was bad. It was just a little clunky, and it wasn't very organic. But, obviously with the final reveal and,
Which is?
Nora Allen is alive now, and of course this is like just straight out of the book.
By his hand.
This is straight out of the book Flashpoint, from the comics and from the animated show of Flashpoint Paradox. And there's a lot that happens in that story that affects just the entire DC timeline.
Right. Let's pause there because, Mike, you've watched the Flashpoint Paradox animation movie, right?
Yes.
So explain that before we get into how that's going to tie into the show.
Okay, well, the catalyst for this Flashpoint event is exactly the same. So after a fight with Zoom, Barry is compelled to go back and save his mother, to actually, use his powers to have an effect. Zoom goads him into this, essentially, by telling him that, oh, yeah, we're going to create this thing, and you're going to die, and you're going to remember everything that happened, and all the future is going to be changed. And he ultimately stops him from doing that, what he's attempting to do, brilliantly, using his powers, showing mastery of his power that Zoom does not have. And kind of gets his gears turning in a way that forces him, or doesn't force him, just coerces him maybe to go back and maybe do a little something for Barry that he deserves. And he's not wrong. He sort of does deserve a win, and certainly that would be one that he would have coming to him. But the result of it is that the timeline is significantly altered, and not for the better. It creates a dystopian world.
Alternate timeline, dystopian kind of.
Yeah, wherein the superheroes have gone. They've gone wrong. They're still, they start off good, presumably, but like that much power goes the wrong way almost every instance. We get alternate versions of Batman.
Thomas Wayne is Batman, I believe.
Yeah,
correct?
instead of
Bruce.
Instead of Thomas and Martha Wayne dying, it becomes Bruce Wayne that is killed, that drives Martha Wayne crazy, and
she becomes the Joker. No,
they allude to that in the animated film, but they don't give that enough guts. And that was a cool story, and I really wish they had. But Thomas Wayne becomes the Batman. Only he's not the Batman we know. This guy is a gun-toting, murdering vigilante. No shame, no nothing. He doesn't care who tells him to stop. He's not afraid to do whatever it takes to win. He just wants to beat bad guys, and not just beat them, just eliminate them.
Like Punisher Batman.
He is Punisher Batman, and he is an absolute badass. And so we have this depowered Barry Allen in that world, and he's forced to find a way to get his powers back, because Zoom exists in this world and is all too happy to, now that Barry Allen's found some sort of peace, start ripping that piece apart. Even if the world is already screwed up, I have a feeling he was going to be a little bit okay with that. But once Zoom starts saying, okay, you got your mother back, I get to kill her all over again, guess what? And what's more, you don't even remember the life that you had with her. You have her now. So
right, and it was a DC Comic summer event, which happened over different titles, over different months.
Because everyone was affected, right? From Wonder Woman to Superman, Aquaman. Everybody had their whole existence upended. And not at all any good. Superman got it the worst too.
What happened to Superman? I don't remember.
In the animated series, because I haven't gone through.
Well,
the
they condensed it, I'm sure, for the.
Animation. Yeah, well, when he's born, found out to be an alien, and the government just keeps him trapped away from the sun. So none of what would have given him his powers were ever realized, and so he's this frail, thin little creature who knows nothing on how to communicate. His is the most tragic story in the whole thing.
I'm gonna need to see this cartoon again.
It's actually really good and really violent and awesome. So I've always loved the DC animated films.
So much like Civil War, I mean, such an expansive story to condense it either into the animation movie or even into a season of a TV show. I mean, that's
okay. So the ultimate question is it going to just stay confined to the Flash?
I hope not,
because now the CW made a pretty legitimate victory here by acquiring Supergirl, and regardless for what you think, it didn't, it was still averaging 10 million viewers for CBS a week.
No, it's a solid get,
and that's almost twice as much as the highest show that CW has. So it's already a ratings win for the CW, and it's still going to be airing at the same time slot on the same day. So it's now just there. And so the producer for CW, all the shows, said that there is already a 4-part crossover in the works. So up till now, Supergirl was not in the same continuity. It's not in the same Arrowverse as it's been called, where the other 3 shows are.
Flaro. I've heard it called Flaro.
I've never heard it called Flaro.
Nobody call that.
Yeah,
call it that ever.
nobody's
No.
ever called it that.
Stop.
Look at it.
Don't. No.
But you know, they alluded to Earth 3, where the new Jay Garrick is from, but we've never been told what Earth Supergirl is from. So I'm wondering if they're going to be using this Flashpoint to kind of streamline everything together, because the Arrow season finale almost seemed like a reset button. If you're not following Arrow or watching it, it just basically stripped everything down that's been building up, and it's just Oliver and Felicity, and that's it. Everybody else is gone if you haven't been watching it. And of course, Legends of Tomorrow got a new visitor from the Justice Society, and I'm wondering what the big to do is.
Right.
There's some kind of problem, and it'll be interesting to see how all 4 shows fit into this.
It's a temporal event too, because he showed up in a time ship.
Yes, he did.
I'm excited about Justice Society. I want to know. That was our man.
That was our man.
Rex Tyler. He alluded to the JSS. Like, who is in that group? Who is he with? I'm kind of looking forward just to see JSA on screen.
Yeah. So there's a lot of interesting possibilities, and I think it all is going to stem from Flash. But I don't know if they're going to streamline all the timelines. I don't know if all the shows are going to be affected. You would think that they would be, especially because I don't know how Supergirl fits in. It's not on the same universe. So at some point during Supergirl's run, it's going to be affected somehow, some way.
Right, and somehow they got to come up with a storyline where it has to start off with Supergirl on Monday, continue to Flash on Tuesday, Arrow Wednesday,
Legends
and then
on
Legends on Thursday.
Absolutely.
Holy God, we live in a wonderful time.
Right? The big question is if this Flashpoint Paradox is going to happen in the TV universe season, where is it going to reset from?
Well, right. Who knows? And also with the introduction of her, we have the possible Crisis issue as well.
They kind of mentioned the Infinite Earths, Crisis of Infinite Earths, and we know that the 52 barriers. So there's they know about the multiverse.
I'm excited because they could literally do anything, and those anythings that they can do
They can combine a few of these stories too while they're at it.
Right?
So I don't know. I know that Arrow, that Amel has said that it's going back to the basics. It's going to be, a lot of people didn't really care for Damien Dark as the overarching villain. They didn't really care for the introduction of magic. And they wanted him to just be more street level, season 1, season 2 Arrow. And it looks like that's where they're going back to. But I wonder if that's because of Flashpoint. I don't know. Because remember, you don't watch Arrow.
I do not.
Because they did give us a future Arrow version where he had like one arm missing.
That's right.
But that was in Legends. I saw that episode.
Okay, that was not in Arrow. That was in Legends. But I mean, so they've been playing around with time and different versions of different characters. Because that one was Connor Hawke, who just happened to be Diggle's son. They had Connor Hawke and they had Oliver, right? Oliver has the one that was missing the arm. Right. So I don't know where it's going, but I think right now Arrow is in a state of flux right now. A lot of people were not very fond of the season. People were still, Flash first. Flash is the best. And I think, the tone-wise, Supergirl and Flash are very, very similar. And Legends ended strongly. I thought it started kind of weak. I wasn't a fan of some of the characters, but I think
it really did turn the corner, didn't it?
Yeah, it ended very strongly, and especially now with the introduction of Our Man at the end.
Plus, they mentioned that the same cast might not be the same cast from season 2. I mean,
it's already been confirmed that Hawkman and Hawkgirl will not be coming back. They are completely done with that storyline. They will not be coming back. And as far as Captain Cold,
come later on, because the fact that Thanagar is going to be the big alien race.
Right.
Later on.
They introduced the Thanagarians.
Sure.
Well, it'd be really cool if they brought in the Hawkman and Hawkgirl, the ones from Thanagar. Because remember, there was a series that came out in the late 90s or in the mid 90s called Hawk World, where Qatar Hall and they were actually aliens, and they used the nth metal, and they were not true Hawks.
But Hawkman is such a convoluted,
it is super convoluted
word of the day, convoluted.
But
character.
I just thought it was interesting that they brought in the Thanagarians.
Yeah.
So I mean, why? Who knows? And then we also had the hints from Supergirl of the Legionnaires, the Legion of Superheroes. There was the Legion ring was in the Fortress of Solitude.
And it was a ring when Flash was first running to the Speed Force as well.
Well, yeah, but they also showed it in the actual episode of Supergirl. And it was in the Fortress of Solitude. It was in there. It was in a case in there. So there's definitely already a connection that's implied with the Legion. So they've planted a lot of seeds for sure. And I think that if you've only been watching one of them, I strongly suggest you watch all of them, because they're doing such a good job of connecting all of them together, and you're essentially watching just one show 4 times a week.
I think the fact that Jay Garrick is Flash in Earth 3,
Yeah.
I think he's going to be more prominent in season 3, and maybe somehow he's going to come back to Earth 1 and see that Barry Allen's not Flash, and I think he's going to be maybe pivotal into correcting that world's correct timeline.
So I think that's probably how you reconcile how to stretch that out into a full season, is that you have regular Earth continuity where Barry's not there and stuff's starting to happen on account of it. Like, okay,
Like
there's
somebody
weird
else-
time stuff happening.
Somebody else became Flash is what I'm thinking, you know?
And Wally and Jesse are currently in Earth 2. They got sent back to Earth 2, right? Jay took them back.
No,
not Wally.
He took Harrison Wells
Oh,
and Jesse.
Wally stayed behind.
Yeah, Wally stayed
Okay.
behind with his dad, obviously. So, yeah, now that he's gone, I think they may pick up from there and like, okay, what's happening now that Flash is not here? And there may be some weirdness while weird time starts to catch up to them, and they may be like, okay, maybe Barry went back and changed something. So they may spend a few episodes on that, which is how you stretch this story out, if I'm honest. It seems to be the only way that makes sense. And, of course, we'll get episodes or flashes in between where we're seeing...
Flashes.
I did it, didn't I? Oh, God help me. Where we're seeing, Barry in this alternate reality he's created where everything's just all wrong.
Right. And again, you can't expect what happened in the comic books or the movie, because you can't have Thomas Wayne in this movie.
No, you can't, and it's a bummer because it's such a strong character, and I would have loved to have seen it. It's just not something we're gonna get, unfortunately.
No.
I don't know if they're...
Maybe we'll see some bastardized version of a Batman vigilante type.
Here's what's interesting. If we're looking at the Flashpoint Batman, that isn't the movie Batman. And they've already mentioned, and in Legends of Tomorrow, he's specifically said, I've seen Men of Steel die and Dark Knights fall.
Well, there's no embargo on using the names, clearly.
Well,
but...
it's obvious that Superman does exist in Supergirl. He does exist. And so there could be a way of around, hey, look, we're not using them in our TV show. We're using the alternate versions of them in the TV show. They may get away with that.
I find that hard to believe.
Yeah, I find that hard to believe.
Because, I mean, there seems to be an attitude towards the TV properties from the movie studio that they're lesser.
I don't know about anymore, but maybe. The DC TV verse is getting a lot of traction lately.
I hope that it carries through and that we get to see these characters in our TV shows, and we get more than just the horrible versions that are in Gotham. Sorry, I gotta...
You like Gotham,
the G show.
I was watching it, but because it was 3 shows on my DVR showing at the same time, Gotham was the one that was cut out.
Oh, that was an easy call.
That was an easy call for me to make.
But wasn't this season of the villains or something like that, right?
Yeah, it just doesn't work timeline wise for me when you have a young, teenage Bruce and you have all of these established villains running around. Don't get me wrong, some of these interpretations of the villains have been pretty cool. Hugo Strange and there have been some cool interpretations. I just, for me, can't reconcile the timeline differences. It's just kind of weird to me.
Yeah, and they brought Fish Mooney back.
I heard about that.
To hell with that shit.
Yeah.
And then they kind of announced, and I haven't heard about it in recent weeks, but they announced
Clayface.
Krypton.
Yes.
Krypton.
But that's on Sci-Fi. And I don't know how I have no idea how that's going to work, because this is revolving around Cal's and Kara's grandfather. So I don't know. I mean, to be fair, the Kryptonian aspect of Supergirl was the part that was the least popular. The other stuff was much better. Martian Manhunter is in Supergirl, and they've done a really good job with him. So it'll be nice to see him in some of these other shows as well. But the Kryptonian stuff really didn't work all that much. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, this whole Flash thing, I think that one moment in Flash is gonna. if they're doing it right, and I think they are because they're all the same writers in essence. We could be seeing, at least for the fall anyway, the first half of the seasons. We could be seeing something that we've never seen before, and that's exciting.
And I think the big reveal is we finally found out who the man in the iron mask was. That was the big. We always had our theories, like either with Jay Garrick or Henry Allen or someone from another Earth, and it was like a combination of everything. It seemed like.
Well, they established in a couple of episodes before that Henry Allen's mother was a Garrick.
Right. And remember when they first encountered him, he tapped out Jay. He's like, no, Jay's safe back at our world. And he's like, no, that's what I'm telling you.
Yeah. So.
But no one ever embodied, like, he was tapping out his name.
And he looked he looked very classic, JSA. Because wasn't he one of the original members of the JSA?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's interesting to see where this version of Our Man, if he and Jay Garrick know each other.
Interesting. Yeah. And it was good to see an older... Because I envisioned Flash of Earth to an older, with the white temples here.
Yeah.
As much as that actor was great, but I envisioned a more harder, war-torn.
Yes, Jay Garrick should be older than
yes, and
not like grandfather,
right,
but
right.
I thought that John Wesley Shipp was a perfect Jay Garrick.
Good. I mean, and there's a callback to the first time when he did Flash in the 80s, 90s around there.
He did have a bit of a John Wayne swagger to him.
Yeah, he did.
Towards the end, actually liked with his
he had the little tilt.
Yes.
It was good.
It was
good.
Man.
Yeah,
that was nice. I like that.
So, and again, the big, I guess, WTF moment is he saves his mom and it just resets everything. Like, how is the next season going to start is the big question, right?
That's exactly right. I mean, he's going to explain himself and then leave back to his timeline. Like, okay, I'm going to go back to the timeline where I've had my mom all along. But
is he going to be a different person? Is he still going to be a forensic guy? Is he going to?
Well, here's the thing about when in Flashpoint that I alluded to earlier. It was what Zoom told him that when you do something like this to the timeline, you're the only one that knows about it.
Correct.
So everyone have believed that all along this was you, and you've created this splinter time. You can't go back to your old time.
Think of Back to the Future, right, with this little blackboard.
Yes, this is exactly that.
That's
okay,
exactly
this is Doc Brown saying you need to go back to 1955 where the event took place.
That's it.
And in this case, he'll have to go back to that moment that he was on those steps when he made the decision to do that and stop himself. Or go into the Speed Force as he's traveling back in time and stop himself.
So when that happens, at the end of season 3, it's going to be Zoom, Flash hitting in the room, and Flash stopping himself from saving his mom. Mm-hmm. Correct?
That's right.
So he does still become the Flash in the alternate timeline.
No.
See,
he's just plain old Barry Allen, forensic scientist.
See, that's interesting because the Speed Force made it seem like he was always destined to be the Flash.
Yeah, clearly he's going off the rails with his plan.
Now, does the Speed Force have any? I mean, is the Speed Force constant across Earths and times?
Yes.
Okay, so I mean, like I said, this particular version of the multiverse may be different. They may be playing a little bit fast and loose.
Especially that Speed Force is personified, so I'm sure they see alternate timelines and futures and multiverses, and the fact that Barry Allen is destined to be Flash. Maybe they know or they foresaw they lived through this alteration of the timeline, and they know that Barry's going to rectify it.
You see, something else that's interesting is that in Legends of Tomorrow, Captain Cold was killed. He sacrificed himself.
Right.
But yet, it was widely reported that he's signed on as a regular on all 4 shows. Mm-hmm. He's now a regular on the Berlantiverse. That's what they're calling it, right? Because Greg Berlanti produces all 4 shows. So when Rory went back to the 80s and saw him in the bar, obviously that version of him is still alive, but we're still going to see more Captain Cold, and I doubt we're going to keep going back to the 80s to see him. So there's definitely something going to happen that time-wise where it's going to... I don't know. We may have like a convergence, for lack of a better term, because that wasn't a very good story. Yeah. But we may have some kind of a convergence of TV timelines where it all just kind of
everyone feels the fallout of that decision that Barry's making. Where maybe even in Legends, like you alluded to a minute ago, we're seeing Jay Garrick and the JSA
possibly
saying look, something terrible has happened in the time stream, and we need to figure out where it was and how we can help.
Because what are Hourman's powers?
Or even Christ maybe condenses it all to one universe, especially the Supergirl,
like an Earth Prime kind of a thing.
Correct.
There's any possible ways
Right.
that can go about this, and like I said, it sounds very ambitious on the surface, and it'll be awesome if they do something like that. And it'd be great if all the 10 million people that were watching Supergirl last year are still watching it, and then all the shows kind of pick up, because they continue watching. Everybody gets involved in the Flash, and then Arrow, and then Legends. It would be awesome. It would be an awesome, an awesome win for DC TV, because it's good stuff. It really is good stuff. It's a good fun watch, and I'm excited to see where it's going.
Right, and I didn't mean to cut you off, but you were asking about Hourman's powers. I think he takes a pill, and that gives him super strength and stuff for an hour. Really, it's time.
So it has nothing to do with time.
No, it's just for 1 hour he has superhuman abilities.
Right.
Okay.
Right, but I think there was a
Thank you, Wikipedia.
JSA storyline where there was a certain point where he was addicted to his pills, which was an interesting.
Another interesting thing is that Mr. Terrific, who's a regular on Arrow next season, is also a member of the JSA.
Well, at one point, yes, yeah.
So, and then Power Girl as well. And some people are speculating that whoever landed in the pod from at the finale of Supergirl may be Power Girl.
Yeah,
or it could be somebody, another Kryptonian.
Sure.
And so it could be, and there's all kinds of possibilities.
Streaky the cat. My bet, Streaky the cat. That's my bet. And another thing that was announced, I think it was more in the cinematic as opposed to the DC universe, but I think Berlanti announced that he's going to do a Booster Gold movie.
It's being written. It's being written. He wants to direct it, and I think right now he's developed enough clout to maybe they'll let him direct it. But he's definitely involved as a producer. But Zach Ertz, I don't know. No, I can't remember. Zach Stentz or something like that. He was the one that wrote the Flash episode that Kevin Smith directed. He also wrote the first Thor movie, and he also wrote an X-Men movie, First Class. He wrote X-Men First Class. So this guy's been around relatively successful comic book properties, and they're doing Booster Gold.
So yeah,
he's writing Booster Gold, and just casting it will be interesting for sure.
But there's different versions. I mean, the 80s, 90s version, he was more of a kind of a douche. But like later on in the 2000s, he became a time traveling hero that nobody knew. He was such a great. He went back in time and he did some amazing stuff, but he had to remain under the radar because I think he was even working with Rip Hunter at a certain point, and he had to stay under the radar just so that people won't know how great of a hero he was, the unsung hero. I think
there's speculation that they may
goes against his character.
Right, totally.
That they may be using Blue Beetle as well.
That'd be great, but
maybe but not maybe not Ted Kord, but.
Jaime Reyes.
Right on.
Well, maybe.
Well, diversity and all
Sure.
that, and I totally understand that because we can't have all bunch of white superheroes running around.
Jaime Reyes is pretty cool.
He's a cool character.
Teen Titans.
Yeah. Well, yes, they've used him. So yeah, I mean, like I said, I thought it was a decent season finale. I didn't think it was great. I really didn't think. For me, the best season finale of the 4 shows, because I watched all 4 of them, was Legends. I thought Legends had the best season finale. I mean, just as far as the resolution with Vandal Savage, just the way everything was tied up, the emotional moments with White Canary finding out that Laurel had been killed, and just those moments with her dad. There was a lot of really good things that Legends did in the finale.
She awarded Cold with a Kiss.
Right. That was the episode before. That was the episode.
That was a good bit of writing too.
But everything was just so well done. And then when Hourman shows up at the end, I mean, it was just really good. Then I think Supergirl and Flash were about the same for me. And then the Arrow finale, and I'm not saying the Arrow finale was like a 4 out of 10. I'm just saying that it was probably the weakest. But I think they know where they went wrong, and it looks like everything's going to be kind of, hopefully,
they're set up right.
They're setting things up for maybe future success. So I'm excited about that for sure.
All right, so I guess that does it for our discussion of the season finale, but overall the season of Flash and all DC shows in general. But I think that does it for now. So you can follow us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. Feel free to comment below if we're right or wrong. If there's something that you think we missed, go ahead and please let us know. Comment on our Facebook. We're all admins on Facebook, so if you comment on there, we are sure to see it. So thank you very much for joining us, and that's it.
Bye, everybody.
Bye guys.